Hello, everybody, and welcome to Podcase, our weekly podcast where we answer your questions about personal injury cases. Today, we're talking about how long does it take to settle a car wreck case, but as always, we welcome questions about any other issues that you might have. Our co-host today is Maria Aimar, our client support specialist, and let's get started. So, this is a pretty common question that we get asked. Someone gets in a car wreck, they get hurt in an industrial accident, maybe they have a fall in the store, and they want to know, of course, we're talking about car wreck cases, but PI cases in general, they want to know how long is this whole process going to take? Often people don't even know where to start in the process. So understanding how long the case takes requires to understand the different steps that you're going through and the different types of cases. One of the biggest factors that we run into is the length of medical treatment. So if you have a relatively minor injury and you require maybe 1 or 2 visits to the doctor, or maybe only even 1 or 2 months of therapy, you can expect your case to resolve a lot quicker. If you have a very severe injury, if you're going to need a surgery followed by 3 months of physical therapy, that case is obviously going to take a lot longer to get resolved. Another issue that affects how long the case takes is the severity of the case. And it kind of goes along with the injuries. If your injuries are not very severe, if the damage in the case is not very severe, you can expect it to resolve much more quickly. But if you have very serious injuries, if you have broken bones, if you have a traumatic brain injury, something that's going to require a lot of therapy, you can expect that case is going to take quite a bit longer. The complexity of the case is another issue that factors in. Some cases are very easy. If you're talking about a rear end collision at a stop sign, we're not going to have a big liability fight over that. If we're talking about a side impact collision at a four-way stop sign where there's a dispute over who is in the right of way, a case like that can take longer. If we're talking about a commercial accident case that involves whether or not a 18-wheeler complied with federal regulation, that case can take significantly longer just because there are more complex issues to deal with. Another factor that often comes up is the number of parties. If it's 2 people at a stop sign, one person hit the other, then you got the person in front suing the person in back. It's probably going to resolve a lot more quicker than if you had a 10-car pileup where people are pointing fingers, doing discovery, taking depositions of all these other parties. There's lots of witnesses involved. A case like that is just going to take more time just to get all the facts and the evidence out. One big thing that can affect your case is how much insurance is available. If the person who hit you only had the minimum liability of 15,000, there's really may not be a point in fighting over this case for years because that's all they got. You do have a right to sue the person past their insurance, but unless that person has significant assets, it can be tough to get paid on that. Uh, Conversely, if the person hit you was driving an 18-wheeler for a large company, then there's going to be a whole lot of insurance on the other side. And if you had serious injuries, it's going to take quite a while to establish to that adjuster that your injuries deserve that higher amount of insurance, or the case may need to go to trial. Uh, that's the next thing we're going to talk about.
Question that usually we can hear is when they talk about insurance, they hear the no pay, no play. What does that mean?
That is an excellent question, Maria. The no pay, no play law says that if you do not carry state minimum insurance coverage of 15,000 or higher, and you are involved in an accident, you cannot sue that person for the first $15,000 of their policy. Now, if they had a higher policy, you might can sue them past that if your injuries justified that. If you were not carrying insurance and all they had was a 15,000 and you had minor injuries, you're not going to get your car repaired. They're not going to pay for your medical bills. You're pretty much going to be out of luck. Of course, we advise everybody to carry insurance because it's the law. And the next thing we advise our clients is to carry uninsured motorist insurance because you never know when the person who's going to hit you didn't have insurance, and you want some coverage available for that. Another issue to consider is your case going to settle or is it going to go to trial? In Louisiana, prior to July 1st of 2024, we had a 1-year statute of limitations. meaning that there was 1 year to settle your case before a lawsuit had to be filed. That's now been extended to 2 years, which gives more time for negotiations. But if the case does go to trial, that typically slows down the process. You have legal documents going back and forth, you have discovery, depositions, you have medical examinations, subpoenas being issued, trying to get a trial date from a judge, trying to get a jury trial. All that is going to slow down the process. It really comes down to not being able to say how long a particular case is going to take. It depends on the facts of that case. How bad were the injuries? How complex is it? How many people were involved? Uh, we can give general ideas to our clients of how long a case is going to take. Uh, Normally, we may not know that until we get a couple of months into the case and we know how bad the injuries are. We know how much insurance is available. We know if we have liability issues. Uh, but you can expect certain types of cases are just going to take a lot longer.
Rusty, one question we often hear is, if I am a pedestrian involved in an accident, will my medical bills be covered?
It absolutely will. Now, because as a pedestrian, there may be presumption that you have the right of way. We might not have liability issues. We might because it's still a pedestrian can't run out in front of a car, but we're going to have these same issues. We are likely to have much more severe injuries if you were hit by a car and you were not in a car. They at least have that layer around to protect you. Uh, so this timeline that we talked about, this is going to apply if you were in a car accident, if you were on a bicycle, if you were on a motorcycle, if you were a pedestrian walking across the street. It's going to apply if you were involved in an 18-wheeler accident and getting outside of vehicle accidents. It's going to apply if you were hurt in an industrial accident, where we're likely to have much more complex legal issues to resolve. It's going to apply if you were involved in a maritime accident, where we may have more complex issues to resolve. So while we've talking specifically about car wrecks today, this should give you a broad understanding of the types of things that slow down or come into play when we're trying to figure out how long a case is going to take to settle.
And one more question. Is it necessary to retain an attorney to like shorten the time frame? If someone would have handled a claim by themselves, what can they expect? Is it better to get an attorney?
I believe if you want to get full value for your case, you're going to need an attorney. If you were hurt really bad and you want to settle yourself with the insurance company for $1,000, that insurance company will be happy to give you $1,000 for you to sign away your rights to sue them and not go after the full value of your claims. So there are times when getting an attorney can slow down the process because the attorney can file suit. That can make it take longer. But that is because the attorney is helping you get the full value for your claim. I recommend getting an attorney because an attorney is going to be able to tell you what steps you can expect in the case, what may slow down your case, and what may speed up your case, what sort of things you need to be doing to actually make your case move faster. Join us each week when we come here and we answer your questions about a different topic of personal injury. And as always, if you have questions, feel free to contact us. We'd love to answer your questions on the show. If you enjoyed this, make sure to like and subscribe.